Welcome to Toy Business Unboxed, your gateway to the secrets of the toy industry. Here, Jason Shea, a toy entrepreneur and expert in the
Every
field.
product we develop is really inspired by some of the real life experience that we have with our son, major retailers.
Yeah.
Check. We think this is cool. Is this cool?
The thing with Amazon is just it become more and more complicated over the years. Yeah, maybe you can also consider to create more online resources.
We'll guide you through the enchanting world of toy design, marketing, and manufacturing. Now let the unboxing begin.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Toy Business Unboxed podcast, where we uncover the story behind the toys that inspire and ignite imagination. I'm your host, Jason Shea, and today we are thrilled to have Paul with us, the founder of AquaBlock, which is going to share some of his journey behind starting his own toy company and how is he planning to really revolutionize the Playtime using all the different wonderful products that he is currently working on with AquaBlock. Paul, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hi, Jason. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Thank you for joining me on the podcast. Can we start out by sharing with the listener your inspiration behind AquaBlock and what is your background that lead to its creation?
My background really has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
I'm a commercial insurance agent. I've been doing that for 20 plus years now.
Yeah.
And I guess it was probably 8-9 years ago. We were over at my brother-in-law's for a family barbecue. They have 4 kids of their own. We have our 2. And then my wife's other brother was there with his 3. My brother-in-law is an engineer, software engineer, but he had put out some PVC pipe in the backyard and put a sprinkler on one end and hooked it up to the hose. And he put different pieces out there and the kids could construct their own sprinkler. And they spent like hours out there. So I just remember thinking about it. That is something, if you could have kids engaged in something like that for that duration of time, there really is something there. And then it just kept going round and round in my head. How could we do something like that? And as I started to go through the process, I had a yoga block in my house and I was like, these things don't allow any water into them. So we drilled a hole in the yoga block, ran water through it. And I was like, we could just use blocks like this. That's how AquaBlock started. I turned 45 and the idea had been in my brain for so long. And I finally said, you know what? I'm going to go for it. And so here we are 2 years later. And we literally just launched 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. How is the launch going so far?
So far, so good. It's a process. We're still waiting for Amazon to approve it because it's a toy. We sent in all our testing and everything. We're on our website and we're also on TikTok right now.
I know you have a physical product. Will you mind sharing to the audience? So for those of you that's listening, you can also watch a video on our YouTube channel to see the actual product.
So this is the packaging for what we call the base set or the full set. And this is 30 pieces. On the back, you can see all the different pieces that come in it. It comes with 2 sprinklers, 2 hose connectors. It hooks up to any garden hose. Kids can design and build their own sprinkler system. They can go up with it. They can go out with it, tear it down, build it different. We include a bag in there. So when you're done playing, you just put everything in the bag, let it dry out, and go back out and build again tomorrow.
What set AquaBlock apart from all the other water toy on the market?
As this product evolved, it became very apparent that the STEAM component, the science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, was a big part of the toy. It's more than just an inflatable sprinkler or a sprinkler that you just put out in the yard and the kids splash around and play in, which is something as American as apple pie. I have great memories of my childhood playing in the sprinkler. That's the fun part of it. But what the kids do is they build their own, right? And there's literally over 1 billion different combinations that can be done with our full set. AI did the math. I did not.
Yeah.
So you could be as simple as 1 block in the sprinkler. You can build it out, use all 8 blocks. We include plugs. Some of the blocks have multi-channel, some are single channel. It became apparent that the STEAM component really was something that we wanted to focus on. And then not only the STEAM component, but also just getting kids outside off of their devices, especially in the summertime. They're not at
Nice.
school. And
Can
what are
you
they gonna be-
also show the audience a few part of what is actually in the set? Because I think you show the picture, but it's hard to imagine without seeing it in action. Because it's very unique toys when I first saw it. It's almost like connecting like a puzzle, like a giant puzzle, so to speak.
Yeah, but it's a puzzle that you can do however you want, right? There's
Yeah,
no
yeah,
set way to do it. So we include like a little handbook, and it refers to the child as your little scientist. It walks them through what steam is and those various things. Then we have the bag that you throw it all in afterwards so it can dry out. You don't lose pieces. And so this here's a cylinder, a red cylinder block. And you can see this is a single channel. So the water flows through it. And we have all these different connectors. These are all molded. So you can slide that in there. Now you have a 180. Then you grab a different block. This is our blue triangle block. And you just put that on there like that. So now the water could go in here and out here, right? The purple piece is the sprinkler connector.
Oh, got it. Okay.
On this one here, we'd put it up here. Just a super easy build.
You can also connect this with any other available water toy on the market too, right?
Correct. This is standard hose fittings. This is our hose connector. So you put that in there and you have a build right here. So this would be a very simple 2-block build. We include 2 sprinklers. Most of the kids love to hook up their own sprinkler. These are pretty basic.
Yeah.
Not a big spray.
Yeah.
There's a build right there, right?
Oh, yeah.
So the kids are learning about how the water goes in, comes up and around, and then exits through the top there. That's just a basic 2-block build. The orange blocks, which are rectangles, and a little more fun. So this is a 2-channel block. You have holes on that go through this way as well as this way. So on a block like this, if you put the hose in here and you want it to go straight out, you could put a plug on this side. So you stick a plug in.
Yeah.
Right. So now the kids are also having to think about, where's the water going to come out if I don't plug it? How am I going to get it to go all the way? There's a lot of engineering that goes into
I see that.
And one of the cool things too is water pressure. If you try and crank it up and your house happens to have a lot of water pressure, you might have a hose blowout. And it teaches you the importance of controlling that and regulating it. We have flexible connectors as well. So these can go any direction you want with them. That's AquaBlocks in a nutshell.
Can you walk the audience through the process of developing AquaBlock from concept to all the way to productions?
It's been 2 years. I partnered up with a company and leveraged their expertise to try and help me get it, because I had no idea. I just knew I wanted to make AquaBlocks. And I had an idea that using an EVA foam was going to be important to it. One of the other things that I noticed when the kids were playing with it back when it was just PVC pipe, they would argue over which way the water would go and whose turn it was. And ultimately that ended in a little skirmish and they're hitting each other with plastic. So the foam comes in handy when there's a disagreement as to whose turn it is.
It's also safer, right?
Yeah. The crazy thing is I had it in my mind, but I couldn't articulate it in a way, and I couldn't quite envision how it would look and how it would work. We hired an industrial designer and she drew it up and it was like, there it is. That's AquaBlocks. That was like really one of the coolest moments in the whole process. Because now I could show it to people. I'm like, I'm starting this company called AquaBlocks. Everybody's like, you're crazy. I can't see it. And I'm like, because I can't see it either. I just know why. I can't see it. I have a visionary mind, but I can't articulate it or draw it.
Yeah, that's a typical problem for entrepreneurs. Sometimes you have like big idea, but it's hard to visualize and put it onto papers sometimes.
Yeah, so that was probably the coolest first milestone that we crossed. Then we had to start dialing in, all right, what are the specifics? What size tubing do we need? What size this? How many molds do we need to make? And just refining all that and then finding where we're going to have it manufactured. Wound up working with a woman. I'll give her a quick plug, Joy. She's fantastic. She sourced everything for us and then partnered with a company here in Massachusetts. I'm in New England and New Hampshire. which is funny because we've had these AquaBlocks for a while now.
Yeah.
And it was snow on the ground. When we did our commercial, we'd fly down to Miami. Company out of Massachusetts, they did all my packaging for me and really helped on the logistics. But it's a lot of just networking. And I met the company down in Massachusetts at the Toy Fair in New York City last year.
Yep.
I think I met you at Toy Fest in Vegas.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a lot, right? Like you got to constantly be talking to people about what it is you're working on. What I found is entrepreneurs are really kind to each other. Like they're always willing to help, especially if you're not in their space exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know,
We share the similar struggle as a small, medium-sized businesses. We don't have those VC-backed, like $1 million funded company. So we need to try to save any single penny we can, and while try to grow the team, grow the business, grow the product line, figure out supply chain, figure out marketing. Pretty much, it's a lot of work.
Oh yeah. Like I said, I've been doing insurance for 20 plus years. I can talk to anybody about insurance. I did go to school for accounting and I did public accounting for a few years in my life. The financial part I had, but there's just a lot of facets to it that I'm just learning every day. What's fun about the whole thing is it doesn't feel like work.
True. That's the fun part about the industry. Yeah. Playing with toys.
Yeah. Like my dream is to be driving somewhere someday through a neighborhood and see a kid out in his yard playing with AquaBlocks.
What are some of the biggest challenges you have faced so far in your entrepreneur journey launching AquaBlock in the last 2 years? And how do you overcome them?
Everything is a hurdle, right? When you come up against it, do you go around it? Do you go under it? Do you knock that one down? There's no set path, right? There's no instruction manual that says, if you're going to start a toy company, this is what you have to do. And this is how much it's going to cost. Because if there was, right, everybody would have a toy company. How do you surround yourself with the right people to ask the right questions, to get the right answers? As soon as my business started, it was the number of emails I get trying to solicit me for various things now, right? Oh, we're the best at it. We're the best at it. Who's the best at it? How do you filter out and find the right people to talk to that can see your vision too, right? This is just our flagship product. Our mission is to keep innovating, keep developing STEAM toys. I personally really like the idea of getting kids off their devices because I have 2 teenage boys now and it's like pulling teeth to get them to go outside and do anything. And I was a kid, we didn't have devices. Like we lived outside in the summer.
Yeah, one thing I mentioned to you when I first saw the product is you should definitely create an indoor version that's for like bass toy or that's much smaller scale. That might be a whole different.
We're working on it. We're working on it.
And
like I said, this is just the flagship product. We've got some other ideas already in the works. To me, it was more of like, all right, I want to give it a try because it'd been on my heart for so many years. And I just felt like it was time. Through the process, I actually wound up starting 2 other companies, totally different spaces.
Okay.
One's in the janitorial space, one's in the construction space. And
I see.
But it was all just because of who I was talking to about various things. And it just, one thing led to another. And I now have 3 patents filed in my name.
Oh, whoa. Okay. Interesting. That's also could be a double-edged sword. So be very careful about shiny object syndrome as an entrepreneur. I run into myself many times. So
I'm all in on AquaBlocks right now. This is our focus. So we just got the Mom's Choice Award.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then we officially got our STEAM accreditation through the Toy Association and Dr. Gummer's Good Play Guide.
So I just interviewed her last week.
Oh, did you?
Yes, she was on my podcast last week. Yeah.
Just playing with AquaBlocks probably last week too, because I just got that. That's really
nice
cool
thing about toy industry. You know each other because it's not a giant industry, so there's a lot of people that we all know in common.
There's the big boys, the big established toy company, and then there's people like us that
the startup.
That are doing something that obviously we have a passion for and a reason for doing it. I found everybody to be super helpful and very nice and willing to point and guide and share their experiences. Very similar to this conversation we're having right here. When we first spoke about this podcast, I'd mentioned to you that I've had several parents approach me and say, this is great for my son with autism or my daughter with autism. And I had never even thought of that. So you and I talked about it and you told me a little bit about your experience and
Yeah.
why you're doing what you're doing. That is something I would like to talk to you a little bit more about as we move along.
For sure. I'm willing to help whichever we can. What are some of the new product or like new development you have on the horizon? You mentioned you are currently working on that as well.
Yes. We've got several different things. One of the things that I really want to focus on is the STEAM component and working with educators to say, okay, what would you like to be able to teach your class in the fluid dynamics sphere, and work with them and create something that they can bring into their classroom. I've been lately working with somebody on curriculum.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, we pretty much have our preschool curriculum mapped out. It's a 5-week program with every day a different facet, a different way to learn with AquaBlocks in the classroom and outside of the classroom, obviously with the water. And then we're going to roll into first grade, second grade, and just keep.
I might need to get that referral from you. There's a project I'm working on this year as part of my nonprofit, trying to create some additional resources for classroom using like sensory toys, etc. I'll definitely get that referral from you after the interview. Actually, just out of curiosity, how long does that take to create a curriculum like that, like a 5-week curriculum?
Not really long. If you partner with the right educator, they're in that space. They know. Yeah, we can certainly talk about that offline, but it's just one of those things that I think would be very important for the future of AquaBlocks is having that relationship. On our website, we actually have a tab that says for educators, and we're getting ready to publish our first newsletter, and in that's going to be things for kids and educators and parents, and just really build it out. Ultimately, down the road, I'd love to have classroom kits that are self-contained that could teach kids about. There's so many different things with water, whether it be pressure, whether it be flow. There's just so many things you can teach with it, and all the way through collegiate level hydraulic fluids and viscosity.
What's the main age group that you're trying to get into? You mentioned about preschool earlier.
Yeah. So with AquaBlocks, testing said 3+, and I think a 3-year-old is fine, but they're not going to be building anything really by themselves.
Yeah, true.
So on the box, we put 5+. What's really neat is I've had people my age or a little bit older that have grandkids now, and they're like, I'm going to buy this so I can play with my grandkids with it because they want to build and play. So there's a bit of nostalgia attached to AquaBlocks too, because again, folks my age, we spend a lot of time outside and running through the sprinkler, playing in the sprinkler was something we did.
I feel like kids don't spend enough time outdoor nowadays. Even my kids, they are always indoor when on the weekend. A lot of electronics nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
What role do you believe your toy in particular that can help in the children's development process?
Beyond just, they're going to learn about science through the fluid dynamics. They're going to learn about engineering, art. It's all about imagination, right? If you can envision how you want it to look and then build toward that. I've seen some really cool builds done by some kids so far, which is something I want to tie in as well as form a community, right? Like, show us what you're building to inspire other kids. And then just teamwork. You give this to a couple kids and they're going to figure out how to work together on it or not, which is also part of learning. It's also part of learning. Not everything is positive. There's negatives, but you can learn from them. And then just dexterity, hand-eye coordination. Honestly, there's just so much that kids will benefit from by playing with this toy beyond just turn on a sprinkler and run through it, right?
I want to take a step back to the product development cycle that you went through, because your product is very unique. Like you mentioned, you need to make sure the water passes through it. Do you have any specific challenge that you face while developing or working with a designer on making sure it's production ready?
The plastic parts were easy. That's just injection molded. So buy a mold, run it through. The EVA foam was much more difficult, particularly with the colors, getting those right. I wanted my oranges to be fun. Even the logo, we've changed to a newer logo for digital purposes, but this was stuck in my head from the beginning. I want the aqua to be watery, and then I want the blocks to be blocks, and then the B and the S, you could see the water coming through it. We've changed away from that, but I still love it. I think we'll probably keep it on the blocks. As far as big challenges, cost, money, That's always the biggest challenge.
Especially for the size of the product too, right? Because I think last time we talked, didn't you went through a process of trying to redesign it to make it a little bit smaller and fit into the box better?
Yeah. So this lessons learned. One, if I were to do it over again, I wouldn't have launched like the Cadillac. I probably would have come up with a smaller kit as an entry level.
Yeah.
Because obviously with the Cadillac, you're more parts, more cost.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, my box, it doesn't weigh very much because these are very light.
Yeah, but it's big.
But I get hit with the dimensional
weight. Yes. Yeah.
My shipping on it is pretty crazy. And then what ad spend, everything else. How do you market it? How do you get it out there? I'd say money is always the trickiest thing, but it's not necessarily something that I view that could stop you. Where there's a will, there's a way. And somehow, some way I figured it out and here we are.
For us, that work well for our toy company is we have the entry level product that's like at $10 range. Then we have like a mid tier about $50. Then we have something that's $100, like a bundle. And when we're doing advertising, we focusing on the lowest tier, almost like a loss leader, so to speak. So we can spend as many money try to promote that because the potential rate of people buying a $10 product is a lot higher than buying a $100 product. Because when it's down to a $100 product, people will double think, they will compare it, do a whole bunch of research and figure out if that's the right investment. But if it's just a $10 product, it's almost like an instant impulse purchase, especially if you are doing digital marketing. And we did a lot of digital marketing with our own toys brands, with Facebook, Instagram, and all the other channels. And that has been one of the things that was really successful for us, to have like a loss leader to bring the customer into the door so they can try at least one about the product. And then now we have them on our email list, on our SMS list, on our mailing list that we can also send them physical promotion as well. I think that's definitely something. Sounds like you're already considering that. So that will be beneficial.
Our next order is going to have what we're going to call an entry level kit. They won't have as many pieces or parts. Probably won't have the bag. You said it earlier. It's very unique, right? What was really cool to me is I had the vision. We were making progress. But in your mind, you're always like, all right, are we really on the right track here? Is this something that the market's going to like? Mm-hmm. And we went to Toy Fair in New York City, and that was probably one of the coolest experiences because we were validated there. So many people that have been in the industry for 20 plus years came up and they're like, wow, this is the only thing here that's truly unique and original and new. There's other sprinklers there. There's other steam toys there. But nobody had brought the two together. Just the feedback we got was really overwhelming. We really do have something special here.
Were you able to get into a few retail stores from the Toy New York Fair?
We have the opportunity to do some retail. But again, where we're at this stage, going retail, you give up so much in margin that we need to build from the top down, direct to consumer, through Amazon, TikTok, Facebook, and our website's hosted on Shopify. We're out there. And again, I think that version 2, smaller base set, smaller packaging, less shelf space, lower price point. I think that'll probably be what we take to retail.
Yeah, retail is a totally different ball game. Even with our own toys brand, we have been focusing 100% on D2C. Since the inception of the brand. This is only like in 2024, we even start to consider getting into retail because the complexity is a little bit different. The margin is not as good and the supply chain need to be different than my current supply chain. My current supply chain is optimized for online retail, not for in-store retail. I actually don't have the physical location here to ship it to the store right now. So that's a lot of a thing to consider if you want to do retail. And another big problem for my toy brand is when we design the whole product line, the packaging is like the last thing we ever think about because everything is online. People don't see the packaging anyway. So we didn't really spend a lot of time and effort trying to make the packaging as enticing as possible. We just put the toy in the box, make sure it doesn't break. With minimal description. That's about it. But when you're going into retail, like the packaging is almost like everything. That's the only thing people see. And that's the challenge I'm facing with my own toy line. It's hard to get into retail and make it effective.
Yeah, retail is a whole different animal. It really is. I read a great article. I think it was in the Toy Book like 6-7 months ago now. And it was saying that if an entrepreneur approached me about starting a toy company, should I license or should I develop it? He said, I would have 100% told you to license it.
What's the reason that they say that?
But with the advent of the internet and Amazon and just everything, the way that the world has changed, we as small toy developers can actually go compete in the marketplace because we have a platform.
Yeah.
In the past, it was always, you had to have major backing to get into a Walmart or Toys R Us or Target. Yeah. Even those places now, I think there's more opportunity for us because we can go make a name online, get some brand recognition, and then go pitch to them. I found that very interesting and encouraging, right? Because I didn't really want to just give away my baby.
Yeah. The currency nowadays for digital marketing is really attention. If we can get the parents, the consumers' attention, just look at Ryan Toy. Like, they start out with just a YouTube channel. They have a whole huge toy line nowadays that's everywhere. And they make millions because amount of the subscriber, the attention, the eyeball they get onto their YouTube channel, and they can sell pretty much any kind of toys because they have so many kids following their channels and getting a lot of attentions. I feel like for any kind of successful toy brand nowadays, you almost need to be a toy company and a media company at the same time in order to be successful, especially on the D2C platform. And that's something I have been really trying to work on this year for the toy brand. We want to try to create, actually, same as the toy launch, the marketing company I also own. I know about creating content. That's why we do the podcast. That's why we do the webinar, because content and getting people's attention is like so key to any kind of online businesses, not just toy businesses, but very important. And it's also getting harder to get people's attention nowadays because there's 100 different million electronic devices that's all fighting for the consumer's attention. And how can your product stand out? And how can your content go viral? There's a lot of like arts and science like that.
And then no matter what you think it should be, it all comes down to the algorithm and whether it grabs you or not. And so certainly I've watched enough how-tos and listened to a lot of experts talk about what has to be in the first 2 seconds and then what needs to be in the next 6 seconds and all of that. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of it's just shooting in the dark. And
at the end of the day, it's about consistency, and you just need to go out and make the content. Like right now, this week, I'm like recording 4 podcast episodes just in 1 week. That's how much content I'm recording right now. And we spend a lot of time on repurposing the content, turning it into audios, turning it into different videos. It's about repurposing and also being omni-channels. And that applies for toy marketing as well. Like, how can you create more content? Maybe hiring some teenager that's really good at TikTok and just create a lot of TikTok videos. That might work, but you just need to try. And as the digital marketing space is evolving so quickly, it's sometimes hard to keep up, but you just need to keep on trying and reinventing yourself. That's why I love digital marketing so much. I'm really passionate about digital marketing and toy marketing because there's a lot of different things you can try. And I think for your brand, that's a lot of potential for the content to go viral as well, because the product is very unique. It's about like, how can you showcase the product to the potential buyers and show how unique it is and how is it different than any other backyard water toy they have tried in the past, right? So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, but again, it's what I learned pretty quick is I'm not the guy to do that.
Yeah.
Facebook was really all I used, and LinkedIn, and even LinkedIn's changing to more of a salesy platform. But I quickly realized that I'm not the person to do that. I was always asking my kids, hey, how do I share this what's a story? Like, oh, Dad, give me your phone. I hired somebody to do that for us now. And my brother bought 4 sets for his kids. He's got 4 kids out in Indiana. He was the first purchase off of the website. And they got delivered. He opened it up with his kids, and they were all super impressed and thought that Uncle Paul was like this mad genius that invented this toy. What was really cute is his daughter. I think somewhere in the manual that I included, I have a little note from me to the buyer. Yeah, it says president on the top there. And she's like, Uncle Paul's the president? My brother is not president like you're thinking of president.
Different kind of president.
But then they FaceTime me after they played with it. And honestly, that just melted my heart because that's what it's about. Seeing little kids just happy.
As we're wrapping our time together on the podcast, and the last question I'd like to ask all the guests is, if you had to just share one piece of advice with someone that's just getting started in the toy industry, what would that be?
Keep going. Just keep going, right? You're going to have challenges. You're going to have some victories. You're going to have some losses. Things aren't going to go exactly as maybe you planned them in your mind.
Yeah.
But if you are passionate enough about it, and would put on your heart to bring to market, just keep going.
Really good advice. That's true for any kind of entrepreneur endeavor. It's always going to be up and down. It's like a roller coaster. But if you have a big enough of why, it will keep you going. And that's true for me too. I went through a lot of different struggle in my entrepreneur journey. Like during COVID, I was on the edge of bankruptcy because all the schools shut down and we sell majority of the revenue back then to schools. And I went from $50,000 a month to $10,000 a month. I lost 80% of our revenue overnight because of the situation. But my why is really trying to empower, support, and educate kids like my son that have learning differences. That's like the only reason that keep me going. I could have given up so many times in the past.
Oh yeah, it's 8 years easier.
It's a lot easier. Just give up, right? Say, I'm just going to give up and go back to my comfy day job, which I just sit in my cubicle and doing boring financial stuff, because my previous career was also finance. Actually, I was in corporate finance for over 12 years, but it's just not as fun. It's always like, it's just not as fun.
You don't have the same why.
Exactly. Yeah.
There it's a paycheck. This is something that you have a why for. And if you have that why, just keep going. Yeah,
for sure. So where can the audience find you?
So our website right now is the best spot, and that's www.aquablocks.com. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Facebook is just at AquaBlocks, 2 words. Insta's at official_AquaBlocks, and TikTok is official_AquaBlocks.
Thank you again for being on as a guest and sharing.
Thank you for having me. I hope we can do this again in a year from now.
Oh yeah, that would be cool to have a follow-up episode and just share the progress in the last.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'd love to do that too, for sure. 100%.
You've been listening to Toy Business Unboxed, hosted by Jason Shea. Thank you for joining us in exploring the fascinating world of toys and the ingenuity behind them. To stay updated with the latest episodes and continue your journey into the toy business, remember to subscribe and follow us. If you found today's episode insightful, please leave a rating and review and share this podcast with others who share your passion for toys. Until next time, stay curious and keep innovating.